Sayadaw said that what he talked about yesterday is that the rule in Vipassana is to note at every arising. Always apply one's mindfulness, observing power at every arising. And due to steadfast mindfulness, steadfast observation, one can cure the kilesas. And to the extent that one gains knowledge, one tastes the special taste of the Dhamma. Whoever practices to develop steadfast mindfulness will experience these tastes. So it said, tasime pancha nivarane pahine pamaujang jayati. That means whoever dispels the 5 nivaranas, the 5 qualities that block kusala, for them, pamauja will arise. Pamauja is what is known as minor joy. So when one works to observe every rising, every falling, lifting, moving, placing, bending, stretching, whatever object arises, beginning with the main objects, when one works respectfully, cherishing the practice, continually, without taking a break, establishing continuity, then we become free of the Dhammas called the nivaranas, the obstacles to kusala, especially when knowledge arises. When our accurate aim is present and has good energy, then there won't be any tina meda, there won't be any sloth and torpor. And due to the accurate aim, when there's the quality of rubbing against the object, vichara, there won't be any wavering about what is it that is being contacted when we observe the object. There won't be any doubt, no vimati, no indecisiveness. When our vitaka and vichara, accurate aim and rubbing are good, then minor piti, minor joy arises, and we experience this. We experience this as goose flesh, or we might feel like lightning flashes of happiness, or we might feel like something is just oozing through us. This good feeling might be oozing through us, and this is called pamauja, or minor joy. And this is where it starts. And if we have joy, piti, to a small extent, then this rotten mind that is called vyabhara, it's anger, bearing grudges, feeling resentment, and so on. When we have a little bit of joy, then this vyabhara will be eliminated to some extent. And when we continue to practice and our practice becomes stronger, it said, Paṇḍitā Sayadaw. When one feels this minor joy, then the joy becomes larger, especially when knowledge continues to develop, and especially at the stage of udiyabhya jnana, when one sees the fast arising and passing away of phenomena. At this point, major piti, or balawa piti, major joy arises, and our body may feel very light. We may feel like we're floating up when we do sitting or when we're walking, and it feels very good to sit sometimes. We don't want to do anything to disrupt the sitting. We don't want to open our eyes. We don't want to move. We don't want to change position because the feeling is so good. When this strong piti arises, then vyavada, the rotten, angry mind, has no chance at all to arise. And from there, pasada kaya pasambati, it means that one experiences tranquility. Following the joy that arises, there's tranquility both of body and mind. And body and mind also feel light and agile, the hutta, and then also mudita. Both body and mind feel gentle, refined, and also kamanyata. Everything works. One feels capable. There's no difficulties encountered in the practice. This is this feeling of things work well. And pagunyata is another quality that arises. One is fresh and agile due to being skilled in the practice. One doesn't feel bored at all, and one doesn't feel at all like a sick person. One feels really fresh and agile. And also, the mind becomes very upright and honest. And at this point, whatever wrong one has done, one wants to confess it. One becomes very, very honest about what one has done. And one wants to even confess to the meditation teacher about what one has done wrong. So these dhammas that arise are very good. They make the mind clean and beautiful, and they make the mind function very well. So this is where Sayadaw left off yesterday, and he will continue on that when he reaches the point of talking about Udyabbiya Jnana. But today what he will continue to talk about is that only when our noting, our observation is continuous, do these dhammas arise. And and then continuing again with what he left off of, another dhamma that arises when our noting becomes good is ekagata, which is another word for samadhi. And when this arises, then the obstacle of sense desire is eliminated. It has no chance to arise. So when somebody has eliminated these 5 nivaranas, the obstacles to concentration, the obstacles to kusala, then there's joy, both minor joy and major joy. And one feels lightness, gentleness, tranquility, uprightness, and so on. One feels, and also peacefulness, the peacefulness of sukha, and stability and calm. And especially at the stage of Udyabbiya Jnana, these qualities become very clear. So if one works respectfully, one can develop one's mental energies and gain a happiness that is better than any worldly pleasure. If you leave the retreat without gaining this, the danger is that one will not have faith in the Buddha or in the practice. One won't have faith in the teachings. And if one loses faith in these, then one is in danger of never getting free of samsara. So Sayadaw wants the yogis to gain a firm footing in their life. Sayadaw wants your lives to be certain, to not have any possibility of going down again. So he's urging you all to work to practice, to develop these dhammas that he has just been talking about. that are experienced especially at the stage of Uddiyabhyāñāna. He's urging you to develop your mental energies so that you gain the special taste of the Dhamma. And he's urging you to do this because it is possible. It is not impossible. He does not urge you to do the impossible. So he very seriously urges you to work in the remaining time to develop the mental energies like this. Ekaggata, or samadhi, arises due to our effort to observe the object and accurate aim. Because of effort and accurate aim, the mind rubs against the object of observation, and joy arises, and then happiness, sukha, or peacefulness. And at that point, ekaggata is there and it makes the mind become still. And when this factor of ekaggata or samadhi is continuous, it becomes strong. When it becomes very strong, we're able to see things as they are. It said, samahito bhikkhave yatha bhutang pajanati. Samahito means that when there is strong samadhi, one sees things as they are. When we observe the rising, when our samadhi is strong, then we know the qualities such as stiffness or tension. When we observe the falling with strong samadhi, then we know the qualities such as vibration or movement. And applying our observation to the process of sitting down, we see that there's a series of intentions to sit down and a series of physical sitting down, stiffness, tension, heaviness, and so on as the body goes down. When we are able to observe whatever occurs at the six sense doors, every seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, rising, falling, lifting, moving, placing, every time we note, we know the elements that are there. We know the phenomena that is really there. When this ekaggata or samadhi is strong, knowledge occurs. Among the various causes for knowledge to occur, the nearest cause is khanika samadhi, momentary concentration. This is the collectedness of mind falling on the object time and time again. When our khanika samadhi is developed, then knowledge arises and develops in stages. And that's why it said, yatha bhutang pajanati. What is it that we see? We see what is really there as it really is. So when we observe the sitting down process, we know the series of intentions that occurs. Or we know the series of physicality. The body becomes stiff and heavy, it goes down, softness, and so on. We know the physicality or rupa. The intention to sit is nama, and the sitting down, the physical components of stiffness, tension, heaviness, and so on are rupa. So we know the nature of nama, the nature of mentality, and we know the nature of physicality. We know what is as it is, yatha bhutang. We see that nama, mental, and what is mental is one thing, and what is physical is another. We see them as separate, and one knows this is nama, this is rupa. They're not mixed up. If one doesn't observe, not knowing, there will be the idea that this is I. This is a man, this is a woman. But when we observe at the moment of sitting down, we see that there's just nama and rupa, just the intention to sit and the physical process of sitting down. There's not any I in it. There's no man or no woman. Sometimes people think that what does the actions that we perform is a self. There's a self that does these things. And the self is part of the Supreme Being. This is what some people believe. But when we know the true nature at the time of sitting down, then we know that there's no jiva atta, there's no self in there. We know that in the intention to sit down, there's just mentality, just the mind which has the nature to know. This mind, which has the nature to know, is not a self. It's just the true nature. It's not a self, it's not a woman or a man. And the stiffness, tension, heaviness that are felt at the moment of sitting down, there's not a self there either. It's just physical phenomena. It's just true nature. There's no being inside of us that has life. At the moment of sitting, what sits is the body. Intention is mind. Not woman or man, not self or soul. Sitting is just body and mind. So we come to know the true nature, the mentality, and the physicality that occur in the moment of sitting down when we observe. Who is it that comes to know this? Samahito, the one who has continuous samadhi, continuous concentration. So one applies effort to observe the object and aims accurately at the object. When one does this enough, then joy and peacefulness, piti and sukha, arise automatically. And these are jhanic factors. When they are present, we come to know true Dhamma. In terms of the method of satipatthana, at this point, sampajanya, or panya, wisdom is occurring. So starting with the rising and the falling, as is said in the basic rule, observe at the very moment of rising, only then will one see sabhava for sure. So one notes at the very moment of arising. As soon as the object of observation arises, one applies effort so that sati will stick to the object. And with the application of effort, laziness and other kilesas are not given a chance to arise. Whatever arises, one applies effort. The mind is alert, not sleepy, active, not cool or sluggish. With effort, sati sticks to the object of observation, and then sati becomes firmly established, as is indicated by the word satipatthana. It becomes sati, which is firmly established on the object of observation. When the mind is firmly established like this, then the mind doesn't run anywhere. And at this point, momentary concentration, khanika samadhi, with that the mind falls collectedly on the object, moment after moment. So when Virya, Sati, and Samadhi are strong, then Sampajanya, which is sometimes translated as clear comprehension, occurs. When the abdomen rises and we observe it, sometimes we're aware of the rising. Sometimes we're aware of the mind knowing the rising. When we observe the falling, sometimes what we're aware of is the falling, sometimes the knowing of the falling. And when in sitting down too, sometimes what we are aware of is the physical process, the physical phenomena that happens during sitting down, and sometimes we're aware of the mental dhammas, the intention to sit down. Knowing like this is discerning nama and rupa. This is knowledge that doesn't arise due to reflection or due to thinking about what might happen. This is direct knowledge. This is knowing correctly, in detail, in a special way, knowing completely and knowing for oneself in a way that is distinct and clear. When the quality of vitakka, accurate aim, is there, then there's the factor of right aim, right application of mind. Or when there's virya, sati, and samadhi present, these make up the samadhi group, samadhi kanda, the samadhi group of the path. And with accurate aim and knowledge, which is panya, this makes up the panya group. Knowledge starts with discerning nama and rupa, seeing them as separate. And whatever one sees, whether it's at the moment when one observes, at the moment of seeing, or at the moment of hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, at the moment of rising or falling, when one observes at the moment of bending, stretching, lifting, moving, placing, whenever one observes the arising object, one sees that there is nama and rupa. One sees these two things as distinct. To observe whatever arises in one's body, so that sati sticks to the object, this will only occur if we make ardent effort, if we apply wholehearted effort. Then there will be sati to stick to the object. And only if sati sticks to the object will collectedness of mind, samadhi, occur. Only if collectedness of mind occurs will sampajanya or panya occur. And if these factors, virya, sati, samadhi, and sampajanya, fall on the phenomena of kaya, physical phenomena, then this is called kayanupassana. If these factors fall upon feeling, good, bad, or neutral, this is vedananupassana. If the observation of which is made up of virya, sati, samadhi, and sampajanya fall on the objects of thinking, planning, mental activities, this is called chittanupassana. And when this observation takes as its object the various acts that are performed, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and so on, this is dhammanupassana. In short, whatever we observe is bhuta, that which is really there. It's called bhuta in Pali. So it sums up all the types of objects that we can observe. we apply virya, sati, samadhi, and knowledge to whatever arises. Applying virya, sati, samadhi, with applying effort to observe the object, and with accurate aim, there will come to be rubbing of the mind against the object. And with accurate aim and this quality of vichara, then samadhi will develop. When samadhi is strong, then knowledge will arise. So in order for this knowledge to arise, this is the yogi's job. So one can't be slack in applying effort to observe the object. If one wants knowledge to arise, applying effort to observe the object is what one needs to do. And through applying effort, sati will stick to the object. So when one observes again and again, with effort and aiming, one will come to develop the mental powers, and one will come to see that there is rupa and nama. One will come to see the physical and the mental. And after developing this first knowledge, when one continues to practice, when one's noting is good, then one will come to see how these two, how nama and rupa, are related as cause and effect. For example, in the sitting, one observes the rising and the falling, and one notes the rising, notes the falling, and continuing to note, the falling becomes fainter and fainter, and then it disappears. When the falling disappears, the mind which knows it does not arise anymore. Only if the falling is there will the mind which knows it arise. So one comes to see this. And as one continues, the rising may also disappear. If the rising is no longer there, the mind which knows it will also not be there. Well, when neither the rising and the falling are there, then when the rising and the falling is no longer there, then the mind which observes these also is no longer there. Only when there is an object present does the mind arise to observe it. If there's no object or aramana, then there will be no knowing mind to arise, or aramanika. So one sees the connection between the object and the mind which knows it. When the object is no longer there, the knowing mind is not there. When the object arises, the knowing mind arises. And one also comes to see that the rising and the falling occur due to the in and the out breath. Without the in and the out breath, the rising and the falling won't occur. There's no creator that makes a person breathe. Because there's the intention to breathe, the breathing occurs. When the intention to breathe is not there, then breathing in and out won't occur. So there's no creator causing this. We see the cause and effect relationships, how the physical, the object which is physical, causes the mind which knows it to arise. This is a case of the physical causing something mental, rupa causing nama. And we see how the in and the out breath cause the rising and the falling, and how the intention to breathe in or out causes the in and out breath to happen. So this is how one comes to know with the practice of satipatthana. And if one observes, one will come to know this phenomena, this truth of cause and effect. In the moment of sitting down, there's a series of intentions and a series of physical phenomena, stiffness, tension, softness, heaviness. They occur together as cause and effect. Without the intention to sit down, there won't be any sitting down process. There won't be the series of stiffness, tension, softness, heaviness. These arise, one comes to see that this series of stiffness, tension, softness, heaviness, and so on, the series of physical phenomena, stage by stage, occurs due to intention, which occurs in series, one after another. And respectful yogis will see how this occurs. And sometimes, in the middle of sitting down, the intention stops. And at that point, one's sitting down comes to a complete halt. And then one has to make the mind wake up again to continue the sitting down process to completion. In the moment of sitting, what sits is the body, intention is mind. No creator is there. There's no creator involved in the sitting down process. No creator makes us sit by saying, sit down. It's just, it happens because there's an intention to sit down. Following the intention, there's the sitting down process. Without the intention, there's no creator that could make us sit down. It's just a case of cause and effect. The cause is mental, intention. The effect is physical, the sitting down process. To know this, sit down carefully. Apply your attention from the very beginning of the process. Don't do it in a rush. In the moment of sitting, what sits is the body. Intention is mind, not creator or soul. Sitting is just cause and effect. So when one can see how the intention and the sitting down process, for example, are related, one knows without a doubt that there is no creator involved in our lives. There's no creator. One can see this, the phenomena of cause and effect, in just a few days with the application of the practice. When one comes to understand clearly how the physical and mental phenomena are related as cause and effect, then Vipassana knowledge can start to develop. One can't jump over this stage in the process. So it's important that one sees how Nama and Rupa are related as cause and effect. So first, what one has to do is make the mind clean. And when one does this, continuing the practice, automatically the ability to see Nama and Rupa, the mental and physical, as two separate things, automatically this will become clear in one's mind. Continuing to observe, one will see how the mental and physical are related as cause and effect. Sayadaw will continue this tomorrow night. That's all for today. Fact. Sayadaw will continue this tomorrow night. That's all for today. Fact. Sayadaw will continue this tomorrow night. That's all for